peers,
to our mentor,
to our panel.
We are Malate, and welcome. Join us as we present our Architectural Design 6 proposal.
Malate is a district of Manila, Philippines, together with the district of Ermita. It serves as Manila's center for commerce and tourism. Malate has about 77,500 residents. Malate is situated nearby the barangay 706 and close to 708. The name Malate is believed to be derived from a corruption of the Tagalog word maalat, which is salty in English.
in 1871, Malate was thought of as a place where the kings or high chiefs of Manila settled after losing their fort Maynila, or now known as Intramuros, to the Spanish. 1898, American urban planners envisioned the development of Malate as the newest and trendiest exclusive residential area for American families. In 1901, with the chartering of the City of Manila, Malate would be absorbed by the City of Manila when its borders were extended outside Intramuros. 1970, the displaced wealthy families who evacuated their homes during the war returned and rebuilt their private villas and kept the whole district exclusively residential until the 1970s. And in 2022, it served as Manila's center for commerce and tourism. On the South Shore, Ermita and Malate are choice residential districts and the site of hotels and embassies. And by 2050 to 21,000, with the proposed project, Malate will have adapted to the sea level rising that will eventually happen. There will be improved drainage systems, facilities, housing, transportation, and overall character. Malate will continually accommodate its population with sustainable and regenerative solutions.
Now let's talk about the proposal. Now, for Project UT, a Malate District Redevelopment proposal along the Quirino and Taft Avenue intersection. First, let's discuss the name of the project. It is derived from the main landmarks that encompasses the chosen site, Quirino and Taft Avenue, both of which intersect at the epicenter of Malate District. For the project briefs, the project is a site planning / urban and community planning proposal. For Architectural Design 6, the design brief was to develop a technical know-how on site planning, particularly in urban and/or community planning, as we integrate them into an architectural design project. The objective was to devise a master planning design strategies that address both social, cultural, and environmental critical issues within the Philippines, specifically Malate through research and analysis. In the field of urban planning, multimodal transport is defined as the use of several means of transport to convey goods or passengers to their final destination. Accommodations and planning for these are crucial for the project. Now let's talk about the project goals and objectives. For the thesis statement, in the District of Malate, multiple issues that span from the lack of specific amenities, visible characters, and interventions contribute to the overall welfare of the site and its stakeholders. An architectural intervention, such as the climate-resilient urban redevelopment for the mentioned location, should encompass an alleviation of pre-existing issues while addressing current issues observed, such as environmental issues and social dilemmas. This in turn will increase productivity for the academe in the area, provide comfort for residents, and smoothen the transportation throughout the area. Once all facets are achieved, Malate District can be an ideal utopian community that is environmentally responsive and socially adept. For its vision statement, the project aims to uplift the District of Malate as an utopian city. The vision statement, the project aims to uplift the District of Malate as a utopian city that can be globally recognized, highly valued, and respected by its stakeholders for its efforts for environmental and social consciousness within Metro Manila.
As sea levels continue to rise due to the global warming, an estimated of 800 million people will be displaced and affected. According to C40, a lot of land will be underwater by mid-century. The project proposal aims to define Malate Manila with a utopian essence that fills the lack of community character of the existing district. It also needs to appropriate change of the urban area to enhance the overall appearance. Answering the question, first, how will the district of Malate adapt to rising sea levels? Where will the projected displaced people go? How can the projected change affect the users? What are the responses to climate-induced issues? How will the spaces be reformed for the overall stakeholder welfare?
In order to achieve the goals of this project, the objectives should be executed. First, let us dive into the aspect of sustainable urban planning of the project. For Goal 1, effective urban planning that improves the way of living of people for generations. The following must be achieved. Planning program spaces in accordance to their functions, establishing a designated residential area, renovating public facilities, spaces, roads, and etc. that will give a more approachable outlook to the users. Preserving and protecting of historical structures while developing the areas to become more adaptive to climate change. For Goal 2, provide pedestrian-centric roads. The following must be achieved. Widening and shading sidewalks for pedestrians, designating a space for cyclists with physical barriers for safety. For Goal 3, reinforce transportation, mobilities, and its routes to ease traffic congestion. The following must be achieved. Redeveloping public transportation by establishing a multimodal transport hub, reconsidering the vehicular circulation within the area, providing designated transit stops for the safety of the passengers. For Goal 4, promote the natural features of the area to serve as an aesthetic appeal and incorporate new technologies. The following must be achieved. Setting up plant boxes and buffers instead of common barriers in areas that need them, such as road dividers, sidewalks, and the like. Conserving and adding naturally green open spaces for leisure. Using of wind turbines that will create electricity from mechanical energy from the coastal winds in the Manila Bay area. Second, let us dive into the aspect of promoting diversity, equity, and inclusivity. For Goal 1, promote the inclusion of all the members of the community. The following must be achieved. Providing housing to the homeless, informal settlers, and displaced people. Providing accessible spaces, such as parks, for people who are financially incapable of relaxing or leisure. Implement transportation system with PWD prioritization, for example, people with vision impairment, legal blindness, deafness, or hardness of hearing, mobility impairment. Lastly, let us dive into the aspect of adaptive urban environmental framework. For Goal 1, conform with the sea level rising. The following must be achieved. Integrating buoyancy rafts on the foundation of structures on flood-prone areas, mainly residential areas. For Goal 2, provide resilient flood protection and management system. Planting mangroves on the shore of Manila Bay to serve as coastal defense, reducing the impact of storm surges. And developing a park that serves as a catch basin for the flood, providing irrigation and retention ponds.
Now let us talk about the project's environmental role.
Upon designing the relevance and role of the project, the design team decided to begin with an environmental approach. To delve into the project's environmental role, the initial theory used was green urbanism theory. Green urbanism is a conceptual model for zero emission and zero waste urban design, which arose in the 1990s, promoting compact, energy efficient urban development, seeking to transform and re-engineer existing city districts and regenerate the post-industrial city center. It promotes the development of socially and environmentally sustainable city districts. It rests on three pillars that interact with each other: energy and materials, water and biodiversity, and urban planning and transportation. Some of the key elements of environmentally friendly city design are electrified public transportation, energy-efficient buildings, and renewable energy solutions. Next, for addressing the rising sea levels. In addition, our project's environmental relevance is tied to our intervention in the inevitable issue that is rising sea levels. This particular issue is found to engulf Pacific nations. Cities started sinking when the West started over-consuming resources and overproducing waste that affects smaller countries in the East. More frequent and intense droughts, storms, heat waves, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, and warming oceans can directly harm animals, destroy the places they live, and wreak havoc on people's livelihoods and communities. As climate change worsens, dangerous weather events are becoming more frequent or severe. Coastal cities on the front line of the climate crisis could sink below the waves by 2050. Pacific islands are lost to rising seas as climate change hits. The proposed design will create a cluster of residential units that will be able to adjust the rising levels of flooding or rising sea levels of swelling rivers. This will be possible with an engineered pontoon system to provide buoyancy for housing units for the affected residents without having the need to relocate them.
Now let's talk about the project's social role. On the other hand, the project proposal also holds society as a crucial factor to consider. Hence, the team formulated its social relevance and role based on the issues with the human scale or experience within urban cities. With new urbanism, it focuses on human-scale urban design. It wants to see those human-scale neighborhoods return. It makes placemaking and public spaces a high priority. It's pragmatic. It's focused on design, which is critical to the function of communities. It is holistic, and reclaiming the underutilized and neglected places is a special focus of new urban design and building. New urbanism is about creating sustainable, human-scale places where people can live healthy and happy lives. Another theory was utilized to complement what was mentioned prior. The team of designers found the connection between the project's social role and busy streets theory. Busy streets theory offers a perspective that highlights the idea of turning the neighborhood into a safer and empowered place. This deals with the improvement of physical environment, which eventually promotes physical safety and inspires psychological empowerment and a sense of investment and connection among neighbors. Crime prevention through environmental design is a series of strategies that modifies the physical environment to improve the neighborhood safety. It reduces the crime and the fear of crime within the neighborhood, since it promotes positive interaction with the space by legitimate users. It is comprised of 5 principles. First, physical security. Second, surveillance. Third, movement control. Fourth, management and maintenance. And lastly, defensible space. To aid the process of redeveloping the district, the designers opted to incorporate the placemaking theory. This heavily focuses on transforming public spaces by observing, listening to, and asking questions of the people who live, work, and play in the particular place in order to understand their needs and aspirations for the space and their community as a whole. Lastly, to secure the social role of the project, the design follows the nature of superblocks or city blocks. This is a theory that addresses issues with circulation, congestion, and accessibility. Superblocks represent an innovative urban planning scheme to reduce the amount of public space taken by private cars in the streets and give it back to the people. Superblocks foster social life in neighborhoods by allowing different uses of public space, not just mobility. The focus of spaces will shift from vehicles to pedestrians. In Project QT, this theory was utilized to better understand and incorporate diversity among spaces, cultures, and activities. Now let's talk about the concept. For the conceptual framework, in order to understand or better discuss the nature and process of designing Project QT, the design team began with the assessment of Malate's current state, and after vigorous study, the team decided to jump into the idea of a utopian society where all needs are met and errors are at a minimum. However, further research has provided us with a better understanding that a more realistic or practical outcome would be a eutopian Malate. This is the concept of a good place that is realistically attainable. It is a place of ideal well-being as a practical aspiration compared to the utopia, which was an impossible concept. To apply this in architecture, the designers combined the aspects of the design theories that had a key role in the process. These would be the superblocks, green urbanism, and new urbanism. As a result, the process would lead to the development of an utopian zoning system that would reinvent what the District of Malate has for its local zoning system. For this, existing facilities were also taken into consideration after dividing the whole district into quadrants. Each quadrant would introduce its own collection of proposed facilities and utilities in addition to existing ones, after which is the means of the project to address both environmental and social issues. These issues would be addressed through the theories previously utilized, such as green urbanism tackling insufficient greenery, while new urbanism supplements placemaking theory for addressing any issues with the human scale, and busy streets theory for residential safety and security. The last step would be translating all of the previous steps in a master plan that houses new blocks while retaining vital institutions. All of these lead into Project QT. Now let's talk about the proposed facilities.
As part of the adaptive urban environmental framework of this project, such facilities are incorporated in redeveloping the areas of Malate, Manila. First, the multimodal transport hub is composed of terminals for buses, jeepneys, and tricycles, connected to the LRT1 Quirino station, located at the intersection of Quirino and Taft Avenue. The transport hub is designed to provide convenience for commuters. It has food stalls, food courts, seating areas, commercial spaces, charging stations, and Wi-Fi. The terminal on the intersections are connected with overpass to provide safety for the commuters while catering to every need. Next, the Manila Baywalk Waterfront is designed to help with improving the Baywalk of Manila. The extended floating space has a leisure area, restaurants, and maintenance facilities. It is created to rebrand the Manila Bay from being a dirty and polluted place to a beautiful tourist spot. The waterfront also uses mangroves as part of its coastal defense and elimination of pollution to treat the water and attract wildlife. For the main park or retention pond, as part of the flood control management of the Malate area, it has a wetland park that can help store the water from the flood of full Malate area. The areas of Malate is designed to have small parks that will serve as a drainage for the flood and will then be sucked to the main park. The water will be then stored, filtered, and treated to be safely released back to the sea. The treated water can also be utilized on the facilities of Malate. With this, the flooding of the site can be reduced while providing green spaces for the residents. The incorporation of the superblocks is a way to provide needs of the people of Malate holistically. It is a housing for the residents that has an essential amenities such as convenient public transport network, mini shops, bakery, open space for leisure, seating area, playground, and basketball courts. Lastly, the pedestrian-centric roadways are the important parts of the development of the site. There are designated lanes for vehicles, for bikes, and the people using significant spaces for buffers and safety. The buffers have spaces that contain physical barriers, not just markers on the road, for a genuine solution for the lack of safety of bikers and pedestrians. There are designated terminals and waiting sheds for the commuters, with amenities such as charging station, Wi-Fi, and PWD prioritization. The roads are also well lit, has continuous sidewalks instead of paint markings on pedestrian lanes to prioritize the people.
Now we'll be talking about proposed utilities.
To fulfill the adaptive urban environmental framework of this project, the following utilities are incorporated as part of the design solutions. First, the continuous sidewalk. As Malate aims to be pedestrian-friendly and with the presence of multiple schools in the area, it is important to design a city that adheres to the safety of the pedestrians. The continuous sidewalks are incorporated in the pedestrian lanes of the area of Malate inspired by the Duchess solutions. The roads shouldn't define the path of people are walking in, but the pedestrians should. Next, glowing bike lanes. Light pollution is one of the problems of urban cities, especially on the road where sometimes there's poorly designed lighting system that causes the wasted consumption of power. To make the streets of Malate safe, the project incorporated glowing bike lanes that requires no power. With this, the streets are safe but it won't cause a lot of light pollution. For micro-wind turbines, the installation of micro-wind turbines will help generate power sustainably. It converts the mechanical energy gained from the strong winds off the coast of Manila Bay and converts it electrical energy. For buoyancy rafts, or also known as the floating or hollow box foundation, is a type of deep foundation used in building construction on soft and weak soils. The building is capable of adjusting to the flood as it floats from the ground when the water rises. The decision of construction of a deep foundation is taken when the load has to be distributed to an area either with soft, weak compressible soils or to reach strata that have strong soil or rock or any other special concerns. With this, the area of Malate can adapt with the sea level rising and risks of storm surges from the Manila Bay. For in the cistern system, the collection process starts on the rooftop where gravity pulls rainwater towards the pipes leading to a cistern tank. Water passes through mesh screens to prevent large debris from entering the tank. The collected water is stored underground where temperature changes are less likely to be an issue. The collected water in the cistern can also be filtered and processed to reuse it as clean water. Next, for solar street lights, while improving the illumination on streets and sidewalks of Malate by making the areas brighter, considering the vehicle's vision on the road, power consumption will be sustainable. With the help of technology, good lighting that leads to a better ambience of the environment can be achieved without contributing to the excessive energy consumption of urban places. Next, the use of mangroves as coastal defense can help reduce the risk of storm surges and tsunamis on the bay area of the Malate. Mangroves are known to thrive at the front line relative to coastal hazards, giving indications of their ability to cope with hazards and recover from major coastal impacts. Also, mangroves provide benefits that will improve the physical environment of Malate District. It can help with the air pollution, water purification, and tourism. Lastly, the use of riparian buffers can help reduce the risk of flooding in the areas of Malate. The idea of riparian buffers is incorporated in the main park of the site as part of the flood control management. It will help with the retention ponds by collecting the water in one area beside vegetation that consumes the water. The excess water that can no longer be absorbed by the vegetation will now go to the wetland park or retention pond of the main park.
Now let's discuss the master plan and development.
The area of Malate is divided into 4 quadrants as part of the design process of the project. Each quadrant is composed of design solutions that adheres with the problem of the site. It is categorized into residential, commercial, mixed-use spaces that are formed into superblocks. Each quadrant has a part that serves as a drainage of the water during flooding, but the main part that helps store the flood of the Malate area is on Quadrant 1. In Quadrant 1, it is composed of residential, commercial, mixed-use areas with green spaces, such as the main park and the Manila Bay waterfront. Quadrant 1 focuses on the flood control management of Malate District, having the main park that stores and filters the water, and the waterfront that serves as the barrier for the storm surges. In Quadrant 2, it focuses on the multimodal transport hub and evacuation center. Similar to other quadrants, it aims to improve the residential and commercial spaces of the site while retaining most parts of it. The buoyancy raft strategy are applied to the foundation of the buildings to adapt the flooding and sea level rising of the area. It also has park that's connected to the main park and serves as a drainage of the Quadrant 2. In Quadrant 3, it focuses on retaining the already existing buildings and sites, including the Harbor Square, Asian Garden, Manila Zoo, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, and De La Salle University, while giving solutions on the problems of flooding and safe streets and roads. It has a park that is connected to the main park to serve as a drainage in Quadrant 3, while providing green spaces for leisure and community gardening to the residents. In Quadrant 4, similar to Quadrant 3, it focuses in retaining the already existing significant building, such as the De La Salle College of St. Benil, St. Scholastica College, the residential, and then the commercial areas. The residential areas are designed to be organized while providing safe streets and roads to address its problem regarding the narrow and unsafe streets. With the help of superblock design, the project was able to provide spaces with mixed-use areas for leisure. Quadrant 2 also has a part that is connected to the main park to serve as a drainage of the area as part of the flood control solution.
Now let's discuss the architectural and environmental design solutions. In order to address the environmental issues at hand, the design introduces a large-scale cistern connected to multiple collection basin points across the whole district. The mechanics of a cistern vary by system. The collection process usually starts on a rooftop where gravity pulls water, specifically rainwater, towards a pipe leading to the cistern tank. Water passes through the mesh screens to prevent large debris from entering the tank. The collected water is stored underground where it can be processed and reused for cooling down the city or before being released. When it is needed, water from cisterns are pumped by an electric pump for release or distribution. All in all, this is a major feature in addressing the potential frequency and severity of floods and heat waves.
Another solution for imminent floods and rising sea levels will be the team's engineered floating houses, wherein buoyancy rafts were incorporated in the design to allow it to float up and rise to any level during flood event, yet be at a static position in the absence of floods or surges.
The same concept applies to addressing floods and rising sea levels through floating city blocks. As the seawater level rises, so does the city blocks adjust to its level.
The next architectural and environmental solution that we have employed with the option of having an organic barrier along the coast. The team opted to use mangroves as a coastal defense along the Manila Bay area. Once again, these vegetations possess the ability to store carbon, purify water, and can be a sight to see. These were utilized because they reduce wave damage from storm surges. These have been shown to have the durability to withstand tsunamis and reduce any impact. These inevitably reduce erosion by binding soil together with their dense root systems. As previously mentioned, riparian buffers can help reduce the risk of flooding in the areas of Malate. The idea of riparian buffers are incorporated in the main park of the site as part of the flood control management. It will help with the retention ponds by collecting the water in one area beside vegetations that consumes the water. The excess water that can no longer be absorbed by the vegetations will now go to the wetland part or retention pond of the main park.
Now we will be presenting our master plan. This is our master plan of Malate, Manila, Project QT. This is a visual representation of the submerged metropolitan area within the year 2100 of Malate, Manila. Now we will be presenting our vignettes. This is the waterfront development of Manila Bay area. This is the wetland retention pond of the main park. This is the activity area within the main park. This is the seating area within the main park. This is the super blocks for the residential area. These are the floating superblocks. These are the floating houses for the residential area. These are the floating houses as the water rises. These are the road systems along Malate District. Now we will be concluding our presentation. Project UT, a Malate District redevelopment proposal along the Quirino and Taft Avenue intersection. In conclusion, once again, this project has named after the main landmarks that encompasses the chosen site, Quirino and Taft Avenue, both of which intersect at the epicenter of Malate District. This project aims to be a comfortable, safe, transport-efficient, and environmentally responsive urban development and community planning project curated for the human experience by improving the transportation of goods and people across the Malate District, specifically along Quirino and Taft Avenue intersection. It aims to uplift the District of Malate as a utopian city that can be globally recognized, highly valued, and respected by its stakeholders for its efforts for environmental and social consciousness within Metro Manila.
An architectural intervention, such as this climate-resilient urban development for the mentioned location, has encompassed an alleviation of pre-existing issues while addressing current issues observed. These include environmental issues and social dilemmas. This in turn increases productivity for the academe in the area, provides comfort for the residents, and smoothens the transportation throughout the area. Once all facets are achieved, Malate District can be an ideal utopian community that is environmentally responsive and socially adept.
To summarize, the analysis and design process of the proposal was executed with 1. Sustainable urban planning, 2. Promotion of diversity, equity, and inclusivity, and 3. Adaptive urban environmental framework in mind to produce a final design that revives Malate, enabling it to become a great experience to be sought out by tourists and locals alike.
This is the end of our presentation for Project UT, a Malate District redevelopment proposal along the Quirino and Taft Avenue intersection. We are Malatium. I am Godso.
I am Kate Abad.
I'm Natalia T.
I'm Viana Ricky Evangelista.
Thank you for watching.